Ladies and gentlemen, this is Tony Chimmel, the GOAT of ring announcers. And you're listening to the Marks Podcast on YouTube.
Welcome to the Marks Podcast. I am the flying jalapeno. That is the inside man, Gerard Millette, and the Jakester, Jacob McGovern. And I know I'm late. Calm down. I know I'm late. So, to be fair, we had some stuff going on, and it was a thing, and that was not a thing. So we're here, we're live, and to be fair, we can get along the show, which is what y'all are all here for, right?
We got sound effects now.
I just let it play. I didn't say shit. Can y'all hear me?
Yep.
Okay, that's
Can
weird.
you guys hear me?
Yeah.
We're on new software, so I'm just like...
That's crazy because my mic's all the way over there. I don't know how y'all can hear me. It's the one thing I forgot to set up.
Because your voice travels loudly.
I'm sick, too. I sound like crap.
Got that bird flu?
I don't know what the fuck I got, dude. Like, it came out of nowhere yesterday, and ever since then, So we are here to talk about a topic, and a lot of stuff has happened in wrestling in the last couple of days, as it normally does. Gerard. Oh, fucking Murphy. Really?
I hear.
Thank you, Murphy. Doing mom's. Hi, Mama Murphy. You and I were talking the other day, and you had a perfect segue because we were talking about Andre the Giant.
Yep.
And I want you to start with that.
Well, what I brought up was 2 days ago, after 105 years ago, something happened in the sports world that changed two sports teams forever. Babe Ruth was sold to the Boston Red Sox. Babe Ruth was sold to the New York Yankees from the Boston Red Sox. And how that changed baseball history would be compared to Andre the Giant technically not having held a world title.
Yeah.
And one of the things I brought up, and Jacob, to see how you go with this, what if at WrestleMania 3, Andre was the one holding the title going into WrestleMania 3? And my thing was, he was billed as unbeatable. If Hogan had taken the title from him at WrestleMania 3, how much could that have changed the course instead of having Hogan keep the title for another year? And my thing was, if Andre had taken the title from the Iron Sheik, kept it, but you still have Hogan come in. Hogan's the chasee. He's chasing Andre, but not in a way of a bad way. He's chasing Andre. Basically, he wants to get to Andre's spot, but they're both baby faces. Until Hogan finally says, hey, enough of this. I want that title.
I think I can beat you. You can do that. It takes away from the going back to when I challenge you, Hulk Hogan, to a WrestleMania. And he rips his chest. He cuts the cross cuts Hogan's chest, and the scene that was.
You could have had the same. You could have had the same thing. Hogan challenges him, and Andre could have still just ripped it off. He turns the heel at that moment.
Well, does he still work with Bobby?
He could have ripped the cross off, and then who comes out? Bobby the Brain Heenan.
And then you have Hogan saying, you're working with him?
Yeah, correct. And that right there, I think we could have got 4 years out of that. But the problem was, you only got another year out of Hogan with the title. because he was going off and doing movies, which he didn't need to take time off or something. If you've seen the movies he's done, he didn't need to take the time off.
Santa Claus with muscles, sir. Santa
Oh,
Claus.
I'm talking about.
Hey, come on, you can't diss Santa with muscles or what was the other one?
Thunder in Paradise.
Thunder in Paradise.
No. No hold. I'm talking about No Holds Barred, Suburban Commando, Mr. Nanny.
All
Are you
classic.
mad? Wait. Are you mad because he infringed on your gimmick, Mr. Nanny?
Listen, if you notice, him and The Rock almost did it. Like The Rock did something called the Tooth Fairy. Hogan did something, Mr. Nanny, where he had to get.
Well, things tend to repeat, right? I think he's the Hulk Hogan of this. You could sit there and say John Cena, but I think The Rock has more of a claim to say he was the Hogan of his generation, for the mouthpiece. Yeah.
But I mean,
I think there's a valid point to be made there. I think there's something to be said about it would. I think it would give Hogan a lot more longevity because you're always that's the thing. It's so much easier to be the heel, right? It's so much easier to be the one being chased.
And that's why I brought up the fact of guys who've never held the title, okay? But guys who held the title and it killed them. They chased the title for so long, they won it, and it basically killed them because they didn't know where to go once they won that title. Where do you go? Okay, he won the title. Where do we go with him now?
That was the biggest thing with Steve Austin that held him back is that, if you really look at it, he wasn't champion very long because something always came up. Like he was always chasing the belt. He was always going after the belt. And that's what made him such a lucrative character because
think about what he did just with the Intercontinental title. I've said it before. When he took that title and threw it into the ocean, he basically said, I don't need this title to be who I am. But I make this title more important because of who I am.
Well, if you look back at Undertaker's reigns during that time too, like he was never really like world champion for very long either. Like he was always better in the chase, and that goes a lot for a lot of wrestlers. Like a lot of wrestlers are just
the title held him down.
Yeah.
But in that aspect, Undertaker was a lot like Andre, if you think about it.
Let me ask you this. Did you think the gimmick of the Undertaker is what made him less lucrative as a champion?
No. Like I'm saying is though, think about it. Think about the persona Undertaker had. He had the Andre-esque persona. And I say Andre because when you look at Andre's persona, nobody's ever going to compete with that. Nobody. Look at what he brought to the table. Nobody's going to compete with what he brought to the table. And so the persona of the Undertaker is another unbeatable force.
Until Tuesday in Texas.
Huh?
Until Tuesday in Texas.
But that was the persona of him. For him to do a lot in his early matches, when it really meant something, he lost a lot. He lost and or won by DQ and crap like that. Yeah. Countouts and all that. Interference. Why they did that 3-day flip from Survivor Series to Tuesday in Texas? Was it just to sell us another pay-per-view?
I think it was a hit a number in Texas.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I wish there was more of that these days because really, like, everyone likes to think that title reigns need to be, 6 months or 5 months. Like, I like having random title switches on random Tuesdays.
I mean,
that's just my opinion.
A random Tuesday pay-per-view, because that's what it was back then. Why were they doing it back then? Was it just a money grab?
Well, you could say that about Saturday's main event right now.
Well, Saturday's main event is a glorified house show with cameras.
I mean, you mean the WWE, the commercial show? Yeah,
it's just glorified house show with cameras. It's basically
okay. So another name that we've talked about, a guy who you patterned your life after for quite a while there while you were working for WWE, a guy who you literally used the same barber for a good extended amount of time, Ted DiBiase. Why did he never really hold the title? Can you explain that one?
because he's another one. To put it into perspective for that is the money aspect. Listen, Ted DiBiase to me should go down as one of the top 10 greatest in-ring performers.
Absolutely.
And the thing about it was, what do people love and hate at the same time? People love money. They hate people who brag about having money. A la Bezos right now.
Okay. Look, I'll go so far as to say, and you may not agree with me, a lot of people give credit to Piper and all that for the CM Punks of the world, this and that. But I say right now, you don't have someone like MJF without Ted DiBiase.
Well, look at the main event of WrestleMania 1. Look at the guys who were in that main event. Hulk Hogan, Mr. T, Jimmy Snuka, Bob Orton, Paul Orndorff, and Rowdy Piper. 5 of those guys, 5 of them, all 5, could have been world champion. Any one of those guys could have been world champion except for Mr. T.
Yeah. Jimmy
Snuka at one time could have been your world champion.
When he did the splash on Don Morocco,
that's Intercontinental. But remember, he was a heel going against Bob Backlund.
Yeah,
and he did the Backlund. So my thing about that is this: those 5 guys, you could have set WrestleMania up with any one of those 5 guys as champion. But 4 of those 5, Paul Orndorff with his pile driver, at that time, that was incredible. And then, of course, you had Piper or Bob Orton. Bob Orton could have been a champion. But you get my point is, and then look at the next WrestleMania after that. You had Hogan and Bundy as your main event. But look at the guys you had in the Battle Royal. And obviously, you can always go by it. Up until the early 90s, it was very, very limited on who your world champion was.
But we're also talking about a time of the Italian Stallion. You're talking about a fucking San Martino. We're talking about that these guys held the title for years. It was a different era, and these were folk heroes. And granted, they only came once a month. The shows only came once a month, but go back to your Gotches and your Luthezes and all of that. They were trying to keep it realistic. It wasn't about the macabre. It wasn't about the fucking showmanship that it started to get to in the late 70s.
Think about it like this, Dan. How can you tell me a guy who weighed 600 pounds like a Haystacks Calhoun is never champion?
Because he didn't have. He was there to be a terror. He was never there to be a champion.
I'm saying is a guy that big. He was as big as Yokozuna.
But he couldn't move for shit.
You have the modern day incarnation of that. You have Nia Jax. Nia Jax became champion multiple times.
Hold on, time out. I do want to bring that up. How happy is everybody that it is finally Tiffy time?
God damn it! Yes. Can we please?
Yes and no.
Talk about that.
Hold on. See if I can get this going because I'm still figuring out this new. The fuck.
I can say that right now. Yes and no.
Sorry, I was dancing to music. No, but yeah. By the way, can I say, Nia Jax, for all of her faults, this past run that she's had,
not bad.
Not that bad.
Not that bad.
She hasn't injured anyone. She hasn't done.
She also hasn't wrestled Kairi Sane, so. Yeah,
so she hasn't done. It's great. It's like if you spill it's like a child, if the child spills all the shit on the floor too much, and then after a while, if he's not spilling all the shit, it's fine. But we're just glad to have Tiffany Stratton finally cash in. By the way, can I just say the way they executed the cash in, probably one of the best they've ever done. I'd have to say.
You know, there's something that took away from this though.
What?
How many titles you had changed for all the bad ways at this New Japan Pro Wrestling show Saturday night? Okay.
Yeah.
Now I'm going to tell you why. Now I get to go on and say, this is the problem with AEW people.
Hold on. Before you go there, I do want to say this because I'm with you. I want to make it clear. I don't have a problem with Nia Jax at all. I think, some people make fun and say she's a heavy woman. I think she's a beautiful woman. I'm not going to deny that. I think Nia Jax is gorgeous. I think that she had a problem because she was booked up here.
Hey, Dan, one thing. You're the only one of the three of us that can lift her up, so go right ahead.
I'm okay with this.
No, Charles Robinson lifted her up. You saw it. There's the videos of it.
Well, I thought it was a beautiful match. I thought it was a beautiful thing to watch fucking the EST, kiss of death her. Bam. I mean, Bianca Belair is a specimen. Let's just be honest. I'm not when it comes to Jade Cargill.
Montez Ford would agree with you, I feel like.
Who?
Montez Ford. I feel like he would agree with you.
I think that when you compared her to Jade Cargill, Cargill looks like a creative character from a wrestling game. Like if you're going to create kind of like I would say Randy Orton in his youth when he was like fucking when he was leaning into the RKO character, leaning into the legend killer. That is a creative character right there. That's what you want. When you're imagining shit, that's what you want.
Now, what I was going to say is, because I don't want to forget this, I just want to bring it up. You have the owner of the other company come out and said, I'm going to dedicate our shows to Collision and Dynamite. And then he goes and have some of his most popular, or not popular, his biggest stars go to New Japan and win more titles that are going to be meaningless.
Hold on, because I know what's coming. Hold on, because it's got to do with his favorite wrestler. Jacob, how do you feel about Mercedes Moné winning 2 more belts?
I knew that this was coming from the start because Tony Khan is giving her trophies that she always wanted in WWE that she never got. She listen, I've talked about Mercedes a lot. No, me never. No, but Mercedes, this is what she came into AEW for, was to be treated this way. She comes out and makes these interviews and says, I'm the highest paid wrestler in all of wrestling, and it's beautiful, and I just have energy with my crystals, and it's just the energy, and it's just it's so fucking terrible. And it'd be different if she was an okay wrestler, but she has always been the worst of the 4 horsewomen, if you want to call them that, with Bayley, Charlotte, Becky, all those. It's unfortunate that she kind of you notice once Mercedes started to get this push, Britt Baker is nowhere to be found.
And now this is Dan. This is where I said titles make or break. Mercedes Moné is the perfect example of a person who should be chasing titles, not having titles.
She should be chasing fucking OnlyFans clout with fucking. She should not be in this business anymore. It's ridiculous.
Look. Okay, for one, I'm going to put it like this: she plays a horrible heel, in my opinion, because she's undersized.
Everything. She plays a horrible everything.
That's why I say, even as a heel, she could be the woman. Hear me when I say this. She could be the woman Rowdy Piper if she wanted to be.
Bullshit.
No. What I'm saying by that is this. Okay, she can get you.
Gerard, I don't think you've ever said anything that made me my whole body kind of just folded.
Now you got to hear me out on this. She could not. I said as a heel now. He used to get under your skin. When she talks, she has the belts now, and she gets under your skin when she talks. Could you imagine if she was talking that crap without the titles? It would make you get under it. I'm sorry, not Piper, the female version of the Miz.
That
we
is
already
not,
got that. We got Chelsea.
Wait. That is not something to celebrate.
No,
okay, listen. Listen. The Miz, for all the faults that the Miz has had, and there's a lot for the Miz. You know, you can't really. But this guy has worked his ass off a lot of the time.
And he can actually wrestle. And
he is a great heel in the sense of,
yes.
And he's a good babyface. He's proven that.
I would say he's a mediocre babyface.
I don't think they've really given him a chance to be a babyface.
He can flip flop on a dime. I'll give him that.
No. You know what? Hold on. Fuck that. Hold on. Fuck Mercedes Moné. As far as a character, I don't know how to.
Mercedes has nothing. She has no character.
I'm sure she's a lovely person to her friends. I'm not a fan of it. It is what it is. You know who I am a fan of? Who they are wasting in Ring of Honor and relegating? Athena. Could be doing.
Dude, watch that Did you see the promo with her and that one blonde chick that confronted her? I'm not sure. Like, I saw something. It was. Like, they were at a press conference, and then, like, the one chick came up to her and was yelling at her, and she's like, "You're stealing my moment, bitch!" And she fucking threw down. Like, I'm just like, wow. I'm like, that's like a fucking.
Okay, so this what kills me is that Billy Starks should have won the belt at this.
Really? Yeah.
It's been a 2-year fucking thing going on with him, and I love Billy Starks, and she's come a long way, but. You had Athena. You could have done that storyline in AEW. That would have saved fucking your women's division right there.
I think maybe now that I'm looking at it, like rationale wise, because of the way that. Oh, excuse me. That burp was brought to you by John Cena's farewell tour. No, but because
That's
of the way that
information there, Jacob.
Yeah, no. So the like, what was I going with this? I got distracted. No, but like. I think the way that they're going about this, because having Athena beat Billy Starks and having Athena go to Japan, I think makes more sense because Athena is more of like a dominant force in Japan rather than sending Billy Starks there. I kind of agree with that.
Never had
the story going into it is really bullshit because why tell this almost like a year-long story? Like this has been going on for like almost a year and a half now.
She's been champion longer than anybody else in Ring of Honor, which I love that.
Well, and she joined up with Billy Starks like right away too. Like this has been going on for a long time.
And seeing that you guys are going to bring this up, we'll bring this up. Next numbers and Dynamite numbers this week. Next, once again, beat Dynamite.
Did you guys watch Dynamite on Max? Does anyone have Max?
I didn't watch it on Max. I actually watched it on. Think about it like, what's sad is right now, you can't put over your show on cable. So, let's go from putting it over, not even getting it over on cable. Let's put it to a streaming service, which I got to pay for. Cable.
No, here's the great thing about that. When you watch it on Max, like when you watch it on TBS, they do the picture-in-picture for commercials. But on Max, you don't get no picture-in-picture. They just do commercials. So it's fucking hilarious. And it's like they moved to a streaming service where
like I said, you can't do shit now.
To be fair, Netflix Saturday Night Main Event for the majority of the show.
Okay, listen though.
Hold on. I pay for top dollar Netflix. Why the fuck am I still seeing commercials?
Okay, but listen though, like if I'm watching the AEW on Max, I should at least get picture-in-picture. We're going in picture-in-picture.
Hey, wait a minute.
I didn't get no picture-in-picture.
I'm glad you bring up that. Because tomorrow night, what do we see tomorrow night? For the first time ever, we get WWE Monday Night Raw will be broadcast live, no matter where you are in the world, the exact same time.
Yep.
No matter where you are. By Wednesday, if it's a knock it out home run out of the ballpark, Netflix will have that viewership out by Wednesday.
Oh my God, I can't wait.
If it's not out by Wednesday.
I can't wait for like the. Oh, sorry, Dan.
No, I'm going to say, if it's not out by Wednesday, it didn't do as good as they hoped.
Well, I can't wait for the new excuse for the AEW fans, like when the ratings don't do good on TV. Well, we haven't calculated the max ratings yet.
Well,
so,
like I said, 580,000 watched Wednesday night.
like that's totally going to be a new Cope. Speaking of, do you guys want to talk about Cope yet? Or we got
Hold on, we'll get to that. But let's talk about this. Whether you like it, I like it, anybody likes it. And I was your AEW shill on this fucking channel for the longest time. I was the AEW guy as far as supporting AEW. But you guys are failing to understand. Every week they're getting $33 million. That's cover. They're getting a shit ton of money every week to put on a show.
Which company?
AEW. They're getting a shit.
Oh, hold on. They got 180
Why do you think that is?
Because
it's 180 million. Yeah, that's about what? A little less than $4 million a week.
So hear me out. They're getting $4 million a week, which is covering it's covering their roster pay. It's covering their fucking.
It covers cost. It covers cost.
So they have all this extra money on the side to do whatever they want, and they're not doing shit. That production. I'm sorry. If you liked what you saw,
that camera angle from the second deck was garbage. The camera angle from the second deck was garbage.
And because I would like this is such I can't even believe it. I would like to think that they would know better on the production side because they have veterans in like the backstage area, but no one listens to anyone backstage.
Well, if you've never been to an AEW show, people, if you've never been to an AEW show, but you've been to a WWE show, okay? WWE around the ring, up above the ring, is a circular light structure. It's circle.
Yeah.
AEW does what? A square light structure. So you end up with a lot of dark spots in your ring. If you go the circular way, you can kill those dark spots. Okay?
I'm going to go back. Okay? We're talking about the quality of the thing, of the production and stuff. But there are people who didn't need that fucking quality. Think about this. Where the purpose of this episode was basically to talk about the could-haves, talking about people who passed away, but also talking about what could have been. A wrestler that is near and dear to Gerard's heart, mine as well. One guy that I watched, back in the AWA era. One guy whose father was a monster in AWA and had some of his best matches with Vernon Gagne. As Kurt. Some people know him as Kurt Hennig. Some people know him as the master of the Perfect Plex, Mr. Perfect. He held the Intercontinental title better than most people. I would agree. I think his matches with Bret Hart were absolutely fucking show stealers. Why did he never win the big one? Gerard, you were there.
And I'll put it like this. You just said it. Because he had – I'll go back to Andre thing. You're deemed Mr. Perfect. Okay? If you win the title, you got nowhere to go but down, because once you lose, you are no longer perfect. Now, the Intercontinental title and stuff like that, was it trying to be pushed? He fought Hogan. He did wrestle Hogan. But because of how many people were in line with him, because think of who did he lose the title to the first time? Texas Tornado, Kerry Von Erich.
Yeah,
we're gonna get to Kerry Von Erich in a minute when it comes to this.
There's a question, I think you'd understand this better. How many writers does AEW are running the whole show? Because it can't be Tony Khan. Yes, it can.
Yes, it can. Yep.
That's the problem.
No. Hey, to be fair, Tony Khan gives final okay on everything. You want to know how many writers there are? How many wrestlers do they have?
Yeah.
That's how many writers they got.
Well, Moxley has said multiple times that he has creative control. Mercedes has creative control. Yeah. Like, a lot of them have creative control. They're just doing, like, I guarantee you, we had the Jeff Jarrett retirement segment on fucking Wednesday, and then I guarantee you, like, Jeff Jarrett went to Tony Khan, hey, I want to have a last run. And then he just goes, okay.
Ulysses, there's a difference between writers and creative. WWE has a whole bunch of writers. They got one creative guy.
Paul Levesque.
In AEW, You got a whole bunch of creators. You got one writer. You want that, a bunch of writers and one creative. And, because at the end of the day, the guy who's in charge of creative works with the writers.
But again, it goes back to, it's indicative of WCW. Come on, brother. Hey, brother. People had creative control.
Well, the other thing is, too, is like, now, mind you, when you've heard Eric Bischoff say, he said Hogan was basically the only person in charge of his own creative.
So was Nash.
Only when he became the booker.
The Booker Man.
When he became the Booker Man, that's when he got creative.
Oh,
I said it before, I'll say it again.
Speaking of which, one of the best lines ever in fucking wrestling history. You got Brian Pillman looking over at fucking Kevin Sullivan. I respect you, Booker Man.
Ooh. And what did he do? He quit. Yep. He walked out and quit. Right then and there, quit. But I'm saying is, when people are talking about the two, here you have a guy. Now, Triple H, Paul Levesque, grew up 20 minutes from my house, 20 minutes from where I live. Okay? Nashua, New Hampshire. It's where he's from. Trained at Killer Kowalski School. Probably never thought, his family was in the police department and stuff like that. He probably never thought his career would take him to where he's at. And as much as he has faults, between Pat Patterson and Vince McMahon, he probably soaked up everything like a sponge. And as much as people, like I said, as much as his faults is for his personal life, did Triple H take the lessons that Pat Patterson and Vince McMahon taught him and put him into his mind and his heart? Absolutely. The one thing I will say about creative process, and just by watching it and stuff like that, it is not for everybody. You gotta, when I say love the business, you gotta love it and you gotta be invested in it. And you just can't be a fan of it who has more money than he knows what to do with. Basically, Tony Khan is a glorified independent promoter who's running with just a shit ton of money. And everybody who works for him knows it. I will take his money because that's all he's going to do is throw it at me. I don't really give a shit about the storylines. I don't care about my legacy because why? At the end of the day, I'm going to have a payday.
Well, I mean, not to cut you off, Dan, but like if you look at Christian just did an interview with Chris Van Vliet like a couple months back, and like he was in the midst of like once he returned for the Royal Rumble, he was in the midst, and John Moxley texted him. He's like, hey, he's like, you should take a call with Tony Khan. And then like he's like, well, why? And then like he's like, well, you'd be stupid if you didn't take a call with Tony Khan. And like so then he took a call with Tony Khan, and then now Christian's been, the best run of his whole career. Well, so I think
you guys
I don't know. I think Tony Khan is definitely the kid who is playing with his action figures, and now he has, his own company, and now he gets to play with his action figures in real life. But which is not a bad thing.
No. The problem with that is that you have your favorites. You have your favorite toys, and you're putting more time on your favorites when you need to worry about a company as a whole. We've talked about it repeatedly. He needs to put people in the positions that are going to elevate things. If you're a fan of ECW, right? What of Paul Heyman's favorite things to say? Accentuate the positives, hide the negatives. Your positives is you have every fucking wrestler known to man under contract. Use them. Your negative, you only have a certain amount of time to do it. All right, well, then we're going to make it work. We're going to get some showtime with this. We'll have a backstage thing. We'll do this. We'll do this. You have so much fucking talent, and you're more concerned about 3 fucking people.
Well, the other thing is, too, is, and I'll put approachability, okay? Everybody can go talk to Tony Khan. Everybody. He doesn't say no to anybody, okay? Which means he has...
Before we speculate, yeah.
He has about 100 birds chirping in his ear. Now, don't get me wrong. Since Triple H took over, Vince McMahon was notoriously known for, unless you're my champion, you're not getting my phone number. Okay? You can't... I don't want people... He didn't want his wrestlers calling him at all hours of the day. Don't get me wrong. I understand the point. But Triple H, everybody says he's much more approachable. He has an open door policy.
Yeah.
My thing about that is this. How open is that door to the birds who squawk? And I'll give you the perfect example of one person who's playing it off on screen right now, unbelievably. Drew McIntyre, unbelievably playing his gimmick right now to the T. He does interviews in person on WWE. He does them on talk shows where he's playing this heel role to a T right now.
This
And
might
you know
be
what?
true. Hey, look, all going back to the Chosen One. This may be his best run.
Oh, without a doubt. And the sad part is, if they put a title on him,
It'll ruin it.
it would take it away from him. So, and that's where I say titles make, titles break.
So
in the past 20 years, think of a person who a title.
speaking of another Scotsman, he is Piper right now with the violence to back it up.
The only thing is, though, too much times he comes across in the babyface aspect, what he did with Cody Rhodes the other day. I'm not going to hit you. Piper would have slugged him.
No, hear me out. He knew Kevin Owens was behind him. Remember.
But I'm just saying,
You think you have the or what was it?
Just when you think you got the answers, I changed the question.
So he basically told him, I'm not coming to hit you, Cody, but you got to watch your back.
But I mean, so and you
I hate Drew McIntyre so much. I'm just sitting here kind of looking. I'm like looking at anything else.
You're still bitter because he left your boy in 3MB in the dust.
Hey,
okay. Well, I mean, that's part of it. Yes. No, but what killed me for Drew McIntyre was when he are we gonna play it? Are we gonna play it? Okay, no. Okay, good. This isn't a Jacob's corner. This is a matter of fact because we don't. Well, I'm glad that we did because literally, Drew McIntyre, he had the quest for the WWE Championship when he won the Royal Rumble. And that was when during that period is when Drew McIntyre got killed, character-wise for me, because every week he would go out on Monday Night Raw. This is before the pandemic, and I feel like that this is why COVID started, because COVID manifested itself to stop Drew McIntyre from winning the WWE Championship.
Are you saying Drew McIntyre caused the pandemic?
Yes. So this is my big theory. So Drew McIntyre was coming out once he won the Royal Rumble. He eliminated Brock Lesnar like a badass. It was a big thing. And then he proceeded to do the cringiest promos ever. Brock Lesnar, me and you, we're on battle terms. And when battle happens, you guys can look this up. I'm telling you this. That's the thing. Drew, hold on. We're on battle terms. And when you have a Scotsman against a Brock, a beast incarnate, I'm going to beat you. And then it turned into this whole fucking thing. And then the worst thing ever came the second week. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to point at the WrestleMania sign together. And then he fucking he's like 1, 2, 3. And then they all pointed at the WrestleMania sign. And then it was just terrible. And then, the pandemic happened. And I feel like with that promo, when he pointed to the WrestleMania sign with all the audience, they all pointed to the direction of the future. And that's what some cosmic shift happened. And then coronavirus came in. And
if we don't have the pandemic,
what's up?
If the pandemic doesn't happen, is Drew McIntyre a champion?
I think he is, but it's look.
No, he wins it in front of a bunch of people, and then he goes on his lame. I think everything happens the way it does, maybe, but he caused the lockdowns. I'm going to stand by this. He caused the lockdowns, and then he won the title in front of no one, and then that was the best title reign he's ever had. And then once he was the champion, it was horrible. I remember when Brody Lee passed away. When Brody Lee passed away, they had a tribute. They had the Raw afterwards, and they kind of did a tribute thing to him. and it was like, the most unnatural thing ever. Like he just sit with his WWE Championship. Well, it's Monday. You know what that means? Yeah. We're here. And it's just like,
so Brody, fucking McIntyre, I feel bad because he didn't get his moment, right? Let's be honest. Something happened. It sucks, and we lived through it for a couple of years. COVID was a thing. It sucks. But going all the way back to his first run as the chosen one, to everything else, Drew McIntyre has no business being a face. Look, some people can do it. Some people can. He is too menacing. His moveset, look, I get that 1, 2, 3 Claymore kick, whatever, but that's a guy who's built to be a heel. That's a guy. He's your wall to stop you.
You bring up Piper. I put him right now more akin to Austin in the not caring segment. Because I'll tell you this right now, what I'm watching from Drew McIntyre, like I said, if you put a title on him right now, the way he's going, I think it's going to kill him.
Yeah, I think so too.
Okay? I think it's going to destroy him.
So what I will say is this. We talked about Perfect. We talked about Piper. We talked about Andre.
Let's put one thing before you keep going. Let's go back to that night in February of 1988 where Andre won the screw job from hell with the Hebner twins and then immediately turns it over to Ted DiBiase. My question is, should Andre have held the title a couple of days longer or something like that before he turns it over? Because remember, on Monday, it was either Monday or the following Saturday, one of the two, Jack Tunney comes out and he gives the ruling. And he broke it all down. And the ruling was, okay, he won it, even though the referee, we're going to go with the referee's decision's final. Okay? Even though I'm telling you it was a screwed up referee decision, it's final. So Hogan lost the title. But Andre, by taking it and surrendering it right to DiBiase, he loses the title. But because Ted DiBiase never won it, he's losing the title. So how do you say that Andre, how can he relinquish it and not be champion if you're saying because DiBiase didn't win it, he ain't the champion? So that should have nullified.
So you and I talked about this, but I have a thought. So ultimately what it came down to is they had a tournament and you have Macho Man Randy Savage win the belt. Beautiful moment. Everybody's cheered, what have you. They didn't want to do Macho versus Hogan, but in a feasible world, I don't think they saw Macho Man having a great match with Andre, and I don't think they saw Macho taking the belt off Andre.
So now if you think about it, who did Savage beat in the tournament?
DiBiase.
Why not just keep that? Don't come out with the thing about DiBiase couldn't get it. You could have just had, and you know what you could have done is DiBiase is going to keep this title. But DiBiase, you know what you're going to do? At WrestleMania, you're going to have to defend that title in a tournament to keep it. Could you? And you could have still had the same finish.
No, I agree. So if I was fantasy booking to make Macho Man come off as the ultimate fucking good guy, DiBiase with his lawyers and stuff makes it where, okay, I'll defend it, but I don't have to compete in your tournament. I just got to beat your winner the same night. So you'll have Macho who goes through 3 different people just to get to DiBiase, and he's exhausted, but somehow finds a way to beat DiBiase.
And like I said, you could have had the same finish and had DiBiase keep that title for a month. Because it was only like 6 weeks or whatever it was.
But see, that's what I'm saying. But DiBiase would have got his flowers because he would have finally held the belt. And that's my biggest problem we're talking about today. Kurt Hennig, Roddy Piper, Andre for that matter, DiBiase never got to hold the belt.
Well, here's the thing for you. In my mind, at the time, DiBiase's $1 million belt looked a hell of a lot better.
It looks are great. Looks are fantastic.
It still looks great. Did you see when Matt Riddle had it? No, not Matt Riddle. Fucking Cameron Grimes and LA Knight.
Looks whatever.
I must tell you this. Here's
Dan, you keep chopping up. I don't know, like what's going on.
Yeah, here's something that you guys here's something that you guys might get a little jealous of. Every now and then, I actually had to have the $1 million belt at my house because it would be going in for repairs.
You lucky son of a bitch.
Hold on, what's going on?
Can you imagine, like, if Twitter, like, something existed back then, like during your time, like, do you think, like, do you think, like, back then, like, if Twitter, like, Instagram, like, existed, like,
I'll ask you this, Mr. Snowflake, you are an old school wrestling fan. If you remember anything about the who I don't know if you're a friend of the '80s, but what the fuck are you doing?
Jalapeno.
That's a pickle. So no, I'm trying to think. What is a way that why did Ted DiBiase never hold that belt?
Well, DiBiase, because like I said, the money thing, because he's a man with the money. Okay, Virgil, the butler. Okay, the servant. Sorry, manservant. How do you sell DiBiase as your champion with the shit he was doing to people? Listen, the balls in the kid with the balls in
basketball. It's so funny.
Okay, today, if he did that today, guys, if he did that today, the WWE would be ridiculed to the highest points. Like, oh my god. His vignettes, and like I said before, between Mr. Perfect and the $1 Million Man, that was the fantasy living of Vince McMahon.
You know what? In the stuff like you talk about the Attitude Era. Hold on, watch the thing about this. This is another thing that me and Gerard talked about one morning. Owen Hart. Does WrestleMania 14 mean more if it's Steve Austin against Owen Hart instead of Steve Austin against Shawn Michaels?
And I like I said, Jacob, I'll hear your comment on this, but
I don't know. Like that's let
me play the scenario for you, Jacob. So the Montreal Screwjob, Bret Hart's ousted. You have Owen Hart in the very next pay-per-view, not a fucking month later, none of this. The very next pay-per-view, come out, challenge Shawn Michaels, beat Michaels for the belt, come out that Monday night and say, I did this for me. I did this for my family. You fans are horrible. You let them do this to my brother. You're wrong. Everything you've done to my family has been trash. I'm doing this for me, and I'm holding this company hostage, and this is the power.
Well,
I mean, it'd be looking back, it would have been in a perfect world, but like, in
a perfect world, it would have been great if we weren't seeing what WCW was doing to Bret Hart already.
You mean the fucking fast count that wasn't a fast count with Sting?
Yeah.
His first
Dan, are you recording on one of those original Apple Mac, things like one of those?
Man, I don't know. It could be. It's probably 3 months. I gotta fix it.
No, because the reason I was kind of gypped on the last question because I was looking at you because I was looking at your thing and you were all chopping up.
I sent you something saying you're freezing.
No, it's
your voice is fine. It's just your pitch is frozen, which I guess I can deal with one of them.
Yeah, no, I think it adds to it. It looks cool.
Well, no, okay, what happened is I don't have my green screen on. I don't have the actual green screen. I'm actually using the virtual green screen, which is not helping for shit right now. But I'm going to.
And so people know, because that's what happens when you run late.
I'm late one time. We do a show early because my man down here has shit to do and because someone decides to go on vacation, Gerard. But I've never missed a show. So the hell with both of y'all.
Oh, well, we got to get you sometime,
But okay, so then you lead up to WrestleMania, right? You lead up to WrestleMania. You have Steve Austin, who's won the Royal Rumble, and this is where Gerard and I disagreed. He said, "Does Tyson without Mike Tyson doesn't work. And I can go into an argument to say that you have Owen come out, and he said, look, you see Mike? You see what kind of man that is? That used to be someone you respected, right, Mike? Look what they did to you. Look how WWE treated you. The Hart family would have never done that to you. We respect what you've done in the ring, Mike. We respect what you've done in the boxing ring. Stand by me, Mike. Be there for me. And there you go. So then Mike turns on him at WrestleMania. I think it works better with Owen over fucking Shawn. Plus, you have a guy like Shawn.
Remember one thing too is
business.
Think about the careers. Think about the careers that got impacted the very next night on Monday Night Raw.
Yeah.
Who came back the very next night on Monday Night Raw?
Fair, and that's where we kind of fall apart because I can't justify for any reason why X-Pac would come out.
So not only that, who took over?
X-Pac is the greatest of all time.
No, because think about it, who took over. Hunter took over for DX. The very next night, he took over.
I agree with you, Mr. Snowflake. I mean, older Shawn Michaels, yes, but
okay, and that's what I'm saying is a lot of WrestleMania 14. The very next night on Raw flipped a lot of careers because you had X-Pac come back, you had Triple H now as the leader of
DX.
DX. So you took a lot of things like that. I'm not taking away anything from Owens.
Well, let me ask you this: do you think that Triple H's DX was better than the original DX with the three of them being Chyna, Triple H, and Shawn Michaels?
Yeah, because look, think about it. Hey. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages.
Okay,
you don't have that.
It got two people over, but
I don't know. I think the version of DX with Hornswoggle in it. I think that's probably the best version of all time.
Listen. Don't get me wrong.
Wait, hold on. No,
some of the things they did, especially like the thing with Sergeant Slaughter where they had the mask on and the windshield wiper.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. Okay, so the DX with Shawn Michaels and Triple H, I felt was better because you had two guys who were legitimately best fucking friends, and their fucking heater was a woman that was,
okay.
Everything.
I'll say this: the promos in the beginning, absolutely second to none. And I'll give you a great example. The one where they had to go on TV and say we will no longer use these words.
Yes. Excellent. You didn't get that same fire from the second version of DX. I'm glad.
But what you got from that second version is this. You got the New Age Outlaws. Okay? You got the Game, Triple H. What else did you get? Mamacita.
This is the era of DX I love the most.
The good part about that is you got DX going into the Norfolk Scope saying, hey, who wants these free tickets?
Yes, there's something to be said about that, but I'll also go back and say that, Jake, I'm glad you put that fucking shirt on because when they came back and it was just Hunter and Shawn, you saw that chemistry again. Even though the one of them was trying to, found God and was trying to be better and this and that and what happened.
No, because remember by that time the New Age Outlaws had already gone in their way.
Exactly. But the chemistry between those two was still there. And
by the way, if you see that photo like a couple weeks ago when I put the photo of me in the ring, I'm wearing that same shirt. This is the same shirt, not the same shirt, but the same style.
I'll say that I would argue that DX with just Shawn and Hunter had better chemistry than when they were a 4 or 5 piece.
Hey, listen, this shirt is from 2009. Like, I was 8 years old when this came out. I like the DX from 2006, like when they first reformed. Like, that show was funnier.
Well, listen, I'll put you like this. If you really want to go that route, I think when DX lost Shawn, they got a little bit more raunchier because now you had Austin in the mix too, to where you go into buildings and the women were losing their minds now.
Absolutely, but they were losing their minds with the other two. Remember the DX split?
Oh, listen. Here's one for you for the DX. When Sergeant Slaughter forced Shawn Michaels to defend the European title against Hunter?
Yes. And he just laid there. Oh, God. Oh, no.
And what was that? The finger poke of doom, but they turned it around and just 1, 2, 3. We got it.
But it was so well done, and it wasn't as bad as a finger poke of doom. They did it perfectly. They didn't build up for a whole fucking episode. All if you come back out of retirement tonight in Hollywood, you got Kevin Nash. Blah 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 blah. It wasn't a waste.
Now I'm going to talk. Hey, Scott Hall.
Yeah.
Let's talk about him.
Why he also never won a fucking world title, which is
now as Razor Ramon or as Scott Hall.
Razor Ramon. I'm sorry, Scott Hall. At that point, when he went to WCW and all that, and he was like, "Hey yo," he was always going to be a background character. Even when he came back and he was out there, me and the big man and this and that, he was always someone's mouthpiece. He was never the main guy.
Put that title on him when he was Razor Ramon, as the guy who lost to the 1, 2, 3 kid, Razor Ramon. Hey,
yes,
Chico.
Now imagine
like a king.
Imagine this. Hold on, Jacob. Imagine this. Razor Ramon loses a non-title match as world heavyweight champion to the 1, 2, 3 kid. Fucking Waltman is made for life.
But here's my question for you. What kind of kid was he behind the scenes beforehand? Because he obviously liked to flip-flop a lot. Because here you got a guy, we're going to put you over one time. And how much did he get over by being put by letting him get pinned, by him pinning Razor?
I don't agree with you, but I'm saying, like, look, the kid was great in the ring. I say kid, he's older than me, but he was great in the ring at the time. I go no further. The one of the best ever. The best there is, the best there was, the best there ever will be. He has gone on record and saying he will put his match with fucking the 1, 2, 3 kid on Monday Night Raw up against almost any match anybody's ever done, because Waltman could wrestle. Granted, later in life they had that thing called X-Pac Heat where they just wanted him to go burn himself to death, but he was good.
The one thing about Bret, and I want people to understand this when I say this, okay? Bret Hart, great to watch his matches, okay? But on the other hand, they were boring matches to watch. Great if you're a great wrestling person, you like technical wrestling, Bret Hart matches were great to watch. Not a lot of showbiz behind them, though. Except for maybe the one with him and Shawn Michaels in the Iron Man match. But the technical part, if you're somebody who still likes the technical wrestling, Bret Hart was it. Bret Hart versus Mr. Perfect at SummerSlam, that match was insane and crazy. And what made that match even better was Bobby Heenan announcing that and talking about Stu.
Hold on. I'm going to argue with you. Bret Hart never hurt anybody. Got guys over when he needed to. His rivalry with Steve Austin, you don't have that without him.
No, I'm just saying he wasn't the showboaty guy. Like he didn't need to do a lot of the.
He didn't have to be, and if
he didn't have to be.
If we had more Bret Harts, the business would be in better shape. Instead, we got 2 fucking pizza delivery boys over there at AEW who think they can be tag team champions. And literally, I talked about this last night with somebody. AEW and people at places like AEW have taken the business to a place where you have to literally set someone on fire to get a pop. When they're throwing their bodies off the fucking ropes and trying to kill themselves, what's left to do? You said it yourself, Gerard. They took a pile driver, a fucking pile driver, which should be finito. You're done. The DDT, which would mean you're done. And now it's a basic standard wrist, like a wrist lock.
Don't get me wrong. It's not just AEW that does that. Now, from what I saw, somebody wrote up something about Collision last night, right? I was reading about Collision. I didn't watch it, but I read about it. The guy goes 3 matches in a row, all ended with the same finish. 3 matches in a row. And he goes, obviously these guys, the producers, don't talk to each other.
No.
There's a freaking problem there.
It's obvious.
Now, I remember a lot of times.
This is another perfect thing. Okay, Mr. Snowflake says, I didn't realize how great Bret Hart was until watching him years later as an adult. And that's one of the biggest travesties, because growing up watching this shit, right, I didn't realize how good he made my favorites. Watching, okay, perfect example. The promo that Bret Hart or that Steve Austin said, if you put an S in front of Hitman, you'll know exactly how I feel about Bret Hart when he was calling him out before Survivor Series. Then you watch that match, and it was such a back and forth, and Bret only won because Steve Austin would not relinquish the $1 million dream.
Hey, I'm going to give you a perfect name right here, and I'm hoping a lot of people understood this guy. The original form of Brutus Beefcake, the Chippendale from San Francisco, California. The heel character that Brutus Beefcake was, if he doesn't have that accident, Brutus Beefcake would have been the Ultimate Warrior. He was all set up to beat the Honky Tonk Man.
Well, I mean, the title of this episode was, people like missed opportunities, stuff like that. Like if you look at like a guy like Sean O'Hare, a guy like that. Like,
I can't believe you brought him up. I mean, that is, oh my God. And it wasn't even his fault. It was because Piper did an interview that pissed off Vince, which again, Piper said, I didn't say that.
And Piper was Piper was his mentor. Yeah, we're talking about Piper, like Sean O'Hare, like he. And if you look at those promos, man, and like
stuff.
By the way, if you watch a Karrion Kross promo, like now and then, you'll see like where his inspiration came from. Hey. Like you can see it.
I'm glad you bring that name up because I'll give you another name. Sean Stasiak.
Oh, I love Sean. He follows me on X. I love that guy.
When he was me, now I will say this. I was in an armory. I was doing an armory show. It was him versus Dr. Death Steve Williams. I was the referee. He forgot to finish.
His career.
He forgot to finish. So I went down 1, 2, 3.
Yeah.
I rang the bell. I go in the back. Bruce Pitchett pulled me over. He goes, "What happened in that? That wasn't the finish." I said, "I know. What do you want me to do? Stop my count?" He goes, "Enough said. Thank you. Bye." That was it. Because back then, now mind you, people, back then, there was no way to not go down. You couldn't do something to where.
You said it before. Many other referees have said it. Your job is to count the fucking 3. You count to 3. Their shoulders are down for 3. That's not your fault. That's their fault.
Now, is there ways? Now, I the one thing you never see is like 1, 2. A guy kicks up, but the referee's arm still goes down. To where the referee says, no, he got his shoulder up. I couldn't stop my hand.
Exactly. But then you do but there's no fucking stopping if he's not fucking taking the shot.
No, that's what I'm saying, though, is the referee can get up and say, no, wave it off. He got his shoulder up. I couldn't stop my hand. You can say that. And it comes across as at least a legitimate excuse.
But he didn't give you that opportunity because he didn't.
Right. When I hit down and your shoulder's still down, what the hell do you want me to do? You know it. So now it didn't change the finish. It just shortened the match.
Talking about people that fucking didn't get their due, and maybe it was their own personal demons or whatever. William fucking Regal. How was he never world champion?
I'll give you one reason. I'll give you one reason. And it's the saddest one.
Drugs.
Personal demons. That's it. And that's another. Hey, we can go back to Scott Hall. Personal demons.
Well, look at this.
Look at what happened.
Honestly, you could really boil it down like to a lot of these guys to that is personal demons.
But again, a lot of it is mostly, y'all remember when he won King of the Ring? No one saw that coming.
Oh my God, fucking greatest run of his whole career. And I gotta tell you, watched that shit.
His finisher, the Regal stretch, looked legitimately like he was stretching somebody. Like that shit looked like it hurt.
And you look back, like just on the matches he had with CM Punk, like during that time, like it's great. Like the match he had with CM Punk, where CM Punk won the Intercontinental title from him, is probably like one of the best matches from that era. I know
they talk about his finisher when he used the power of the punch, and that was great. This and that, it was hilarious. But no one had No one had a knee tumbler. Like fucking when he.
Hey,
hit you in the
listen.
head,
I'd like to argue. Anytime someone pulls out some brass knuckles, like you got to think of William Regal. You know, like I would like
MJF.
When MJ, that was a great, like one of the best. And guys say AEW. I shit on AEW for a lot of things, but the way they sent out William Regal, the way they took, like that was beautiful. You couldn't have had a better send off.
I'll give you a good example of William Regal. Okay, what did William Regal end up doing? William Regal got in good with Vince. Don't know how he ever did it, but he got in great with Vince. And when he left to go to AEW, there was no animosity there.
Well, he got fired.
There was no animosity. And put it this way, if it's not for the pandemic, he probably never gets fired.
No.
Well, and you got to look at it like if you watch Triple H's documentary, like William Regal when he was John Paul Levesque in WCW, they paired him together with William Regal, and like he said, he was like he's like he took me under his wing and really like, you know, he's like I don't forget that stuff. So you got to like they have a really tight relationship.
Well, going back then, talking about guys who didn't win the big one, Finley, Jesus,
size and size only.
I don't like Gerard. You may say that, but the guy was a brutalizer.
I understand that.
Did you see the matches with him and Regal years ago? Fuck, they killed each other.
Oh, him! But I was seeing some old school with him and Johnny Saint back in the day, like old school, and I'm just like, oh man, they were beating the shit out of each other.
Listen, Regal got teamed with that other guy. He got partnered with and they were the Blue Bloods. I'm trying to remember the name. He was who was the guy that he got teamed with? They called themselves the Blue Bloods.
I know what you're talking about, but
when they got called the Blue Bloods, that was a great team. Regal didn't have to do all the work. I
don't know if y'all watched recently, but there's some light at the end of that tunnel. And there's two guys that are really killing it. In fact, one just did a fucking amazing job in New Japan. David Finlay. What a fucking worker that guy is.
And I would hope that he's coming into NXT very soon because his deal is
who would I want him to team up with? Charlie fucking Dempsey.
Charlie Dempsey. Hey, honestly, I'd put him, Charlie Dempsey, and Lexus King and make that a faction.
Hey, got a question for you. What do you think the business would have done if your new world champion at any given time would have been China?
I think it would have shit the bed. I don't think it would have been.
I believe, like, wasn't there a rumor that they were going to put the title on?
I know, but I believe the rumor was that she had wanted Steve Austin money and that she said that she could get that. She could hold that belt.
Right.
I don't agree with it. I don't agree with the personal demons that led up to it. I don't agree with the way she got terminated.
Here's my question for you. If China had stayed the look of China when she first came in and not the doll that she turned into, I think world champion goes over well on her. But when she did all that stuff to her body,
I don't know. We're talking like Rick and Morty alternate universe stuff right now. I don't know.
No, I'm just saying is, you know, some of these people when they get to the championship, when you get to that certain level,
I agree.
It comes to two things: can you put asses in the seats?
I know. I get what you're saying, Gerard, but what it comes down to is this. I get that, and they did something similar with fucking Tessa Blanchard. When she beat fucking Brian Cage for the belt. I don't agree with it, but it was
she beat Sami Callihan. She didn't beat Brian Cage.
But I thought she also beat Brian Cage.
No, she did beat Brian Cage, but she didn't.
Oh, she beat Sami Callihan. Okay.
In the past 20 years, here's one thing. In the past 20 years, give me any wrestler who deserved the title, hasn't gotten it, or who's gotten it, and it killed his career.
I would say got it and killed his career. Unfortunately, I have to take an L on this one. I'd say
Jinder Mahal.
No, I'd say who got it and killed his career. I'd have to say Drew McIntyre when he got the WWE Championship. It really killed any type of momentum he's ever had, with me at least.
I would disagree with you.
Because Jinder Mahal is golden forever. He's going to bounce back. So that doesn't matter anything. But no, honestly, I would say I would like to take it on the flip side. Someone who has actually benefited from not being the champion, Damian Priest. I think Damian Priest has been a way better babyface and a way better wrestler overall since he lost the title.
I agree with that because again, we were talking about that the other day. I think that him losing the belt and his fight to get something relevant back, him going against Gunther the second time was so much better because he didn't have the anchor of the Judgment Day and everything holding him back. But to
I'm glad you bring out that though. Let's go back for a minute.
To your point though, you said who the belt ruined. I can't think of anybody who ruined more than two people: Kofi Kingston and Dolph Ziggler.
What about Bray Wyatt?
Okay, well, Dolph Ziggler. Bray Wyatt's I don't know because Bray Wyatt was set up to fail. I believe every single time. Bray Wyatt so when Bray Wyatt won the WWE Championship, I was there for that. This was Elimination Chamber in Phoenix. I was there for that great moment. People were cheering, and it was set up immediately that he was going to face Randy Orton at WrestleMania, and then Randy Orton automatically beat him in a really shitty match, and then he won the title from Seth Rollins because they were put in a fucking shitty situation because Vince doesn't know how to book Vince didn't know how to book shit till the end there, and because
the worst booking they ever did with Bray Wyatt, they had him lose the fucking belt to Goldberg.
Oh no, I was getting to that because they were put in a possible situation before they put the belt on the Fiend the first time. They had him in the worst Hell in a Cell match that was ever
had.
The
red Hell in a Cell, which is stupid. Oh yes, he gets supernatural powers from red light.
Yeah. So that immediately, because they didn't know what to do because they created something that was better than what was going on.
No.
They didn't know what the fuck was
going created something. The second time he's created something that was over with people and they didn't know what to do with it. It's kind of like when they brought in CM Punk. Hey, do some flippy dippy shit. I don't do flippy dippy. You had the second coming of fucking Jesus in fucking wrestling and you fucking try to piss him away. Don't get me started.
And Bray Wyatt's title reigns kind of, I wouldn't say were really his fault because they didn't give him a fucking chance. But I would say that if
they fucking again with Randy Orton in WrestleMania.
I'd put Seth Rollins. I'd put Seth Rollins up there when Seth Rollins had the Universal title in 2019. That was fucking terrible. When he was out there, he was the man's man. I remember that when they had fucking T-shirts with, basically Becky Lynch was the star of the show and he was second fiddle. And then it was kind of sad. And again, I'm not trying to be a sexist person here, but that was, you're having your world champion put a shirt on that says the man's man.
Way to basically castrate a man.
Hey, I'm glad you bring up something like that though. Because one of the persons we're forgetting about is at his peak, should Goldust have been the champion?
I don't see it. I'm sorry. I don't like Dustin Runnels. I think he did an amazing job. He was committed.
No, I'm saying at his peak. I'm talking about, remember now. I'm talking about the guy that Razor Ramon you don't want to touch.
No, he had the Intercontinental title.
Yeah, I think he did an amazing job with the Intercontinental title. I think him and Roddy Piper in the Backstreet Brawl was amazing. They used fucking footage from OJ. I thought it was hilarious. But
that was that whole WrestleMania. If you look at that whole WrestleMania, literally, it's like that. It book ends the whole show basically.
I don't think that. And I love Dustin Runnels, man. Even to this day, the man is he's like fuck you, Father Time. Here's a fucking power driver. I just don't see him as a world champion. Not as he was.
I think they could have done. I think they could have done better with him when he was doing the artist formerly known as Goldust thing. I think they could have They could have not done all the gimmick shit. They could have kind of segued him out of that and made him be Dustin.
No, I'll tell you this.
Dustin
I'll
Runnels.
tell you this, Jacob, but I think you'll agree with me here. During that time when he was the artist formerly known as Goldust, he could have taken a darker path via fucking thing. He could have gone that like he could have been wearing dark and this or that, wearing a different gear.
He could have, and honestly, like he could have been Black Rain at that point. But like Black
Rain, he would have brought that dark character. I think there would have been some wiggle room to say maybe he could hold a world title.
And hey, look at Black Rain, and honestly, look at Black Rain, man. That's a depressing ass rain if you look at the blackest of rains. Sorry, I'm a pun master. No, but like Dustin, I think honestly, we're in a position where I think you should put the fucking Ring of Honor World title.
I agree. I think that Dustin Rhodes right now could wear the Ring of Honor belt, and everybody would be on board.
It's better than what the fuck Chris Jericho's doing.
It's fucking fucking stupid.
Listen,
stupid.
Speaking of that, it's funny because Adam Cope. And
Cope.
Yeah, can we talk about Cope? Are we going to talk about Cope?
Are we coping with Cope?
Okay. Yeah. They had this backstage segment last night. And
are you talking about Collision?
Yes.
The ugly tree?
Oh my god, dude. Were they talking about
Do you want me to repeat it? I can repeat the whole thing word for word.
We haven't faced each other in like 15 years and blah blah blah. And Chris Jericho goes, I don't remember none of that.
Yeah, that was it was the greatest thing. First of all, I don't know what Cope. I don't know what Cope is doing, but like I don't think he gets what AEW like. He is very ever since he came to AEW, he's very like PG when he doesn't need to be. Like he's calling people stupid and ugly and like okay, when Collision opens up, it starts with rated FTR. And then you got fucking FTR bald going off. Oh yeah, we got Collision here, and we're going against the Learning Tree. And then you got FTR Glock, and then you got FTR Glock going. It's not the Learning Tree.
Hey Jacob, I'll give you the answer for
the
this
ugly
one.
tree.
Hey, I have a great answer for that. Here's a great answer for why. Because Copeland is still thinking he's in WWE. And, he's still got the WWE mindset in him. And you can look at his promos, and that's what you can see in him.
Well, that's why he's shortened his name.
He's like at a 10 speed, and everybody in AEW is at like a 6.
Well, and the reason why he shortened his name to Cope is because he said that. He was like, oh, it looks better on a marquee, Cope.
Oh, and speaking of that, did you guys hear what happened last night in the dark match? See that we're going to bring up The Fiend, who did an announcement last night in the dark match for AEW. JoJo Hoffman.
Yeah, that's crazy to me.
JoJo Hoffman was in AEW?
She did like a dark match announcement.
Whoa. That's weird.
Yeah, no, but let me get back to this because literally Collision opened up with this. You got Cash Wheeler going, it's the Learning Tree. It's the ugly tree. And then Adam Cole goes, yeah, it's the ugly tree. The ugly tree that hit every ugly branch on the way down. And then you got the ugly bus. And then the ugly bus.
What happened to them? Okay, let's go back to when FTR debuted in AEW. They pulled up and all that stuff, and they were badasses. They have the greatest tag team finish, I think, in the last 20 years in fucking the Big Rig.
The Big Rig!
Which I still say Shatter Machine is a better name. But what the fuck has happened to these guys?
Well, listen. They also had the Rock and Roll Express on last night, too.
John Moxley kidnapped the Rock and Roll Express. Yeah. Did you see this, Dan?
Did he pour bleach on him, too?
No, they kidnapped him. And then Ricky Morton goes, "You don't have the balls." And that was the best. That was probably the best line delivery of every fucking person that's ever been in AEW.
But I'm just the gimmicks that they're using nowadays to get over. Okay, guys, the world champion right now for AEW, right, is John Moxley. I don't think he's selling that title for. He's selling that title for him. He's not selling it for the company he's in.
Well, and
when you're the world champion, You're supposed to sell it for the company you're in.
Well, and when he won the title, like they're selling this story like, oh, I'm taking this company hostage and oh, this and that. And like he threw the title in a fucking briefcase, and we haven't seen the title since he won the title. I just said title like 5 times. But
hey Dan, before we forget, another guy we forgot to talk about, and I can't believe we haven't mentioned this name, Jake the Snake.
You want me to go on a tangent now? Do you really want me to go there? Because I mean, we're talking about personal demons. He is the demon for personal demons. Man, look, like there's so that you know what? Oh, fuck. I wish I had my own Jacob's Corner right now because I'm about to fucking no. Fuck this. You know why, Jake? I love Jake Roberts. I think he is the greatest mind that we wouldn't have a Bray Wyatt. We wouldn't have a Karrion Kross. We wouldn't have half the motherfuckers we have. If we wouldn't have a Randy Orton. We wouldn't have a Steve Austin if it wasn't for Jake fucking Roberts. But the problem is he had a fucked up childhood, which he never let go of. He had a father who did things to his mother, which he was a teenager.
To his sister.
And his sister. He had a fucking sister who died, and that shit happened. Everything that happened to Jake, and yet for him, look, as much as I want to fucking talk shit and why he's not the champion, the fact that the man is even walking, breathing, and having a fucking being a productive member of society is a praise to him. People can talk shit all you want. Jake will be the first to tell you that it was his fault he never won a world title. But he never made excuses about it. He said, look, I did it. I was addicted to crack. I was addicted to all this other shit and did stupid crap. That was on me.
Abusing snakes.
Yes.
Because if there was a guy, I'll tell you, we growing up, Jake the Snake Roberts, he was and the other one I'm going to bring up who killed his career because he became champion.
EC3?
I'm going to say Kerry Von Erich. I'm going to say Kerry Von Erich.
Yeah. Oh, Kerry Von Erich. No, Kerry Von Erich when he decided to walk on his broken leg after a motorcycle accident.
I'm going to say at the time he won that championship, I'm going to say the WCCW title was worth more
than the NWA or AWA.
Yeah. Then no, it was. Yep. That was. Listen, when he beat Flair, that title win was bigger than Hogan.
Yeah.
The Von Erichs were like fucking superheroes back.
They were damn near sold out Cowboy Stadium.
That's what I'm saying. Listen, in the modern day Warrior, the music that he came out to,
he would look. Say what you want. Kerry Von Erich in his prime killed Kerry Von Erich.
And that's the one thing I want people to understand is when we're talking about people who either made or break, think about, could you imagine what WCCW would have been like if Gentleman Chris Adams or Gino Hernandez had been the champion?
You know, what a fucking Jesus. What did I say last week about finishers?
Right.
Chris Adams had the best damn super kick ever because the way he put it on. Look, Shawn Michaels had sweet chin music, came out of nowhere, whatever. When fucking Chris Adams kicked you in the face, they thought your face turned to the back of your head. And that's
and Gerard just mentioned Gino Hernandez. Just look at the way Gino Hernandez talked and carried himself. Like fuck, dude. Like it's
he was the model. He was fucking Ricky Martel, but he could beat your ass.
And you know what though? And what would he do? He'd do it cockily. He would be so cockily he had this attitude about him that made you hate him. He almost came across as an English-speaking Tony Montana. Yep. That's what he came across as.
I've mentioned him many times on the show. Dr. D, Dave Schultz. You know, if you look at any of his promos, I'm surprised. Like,
what killed his career. We know what killed his career.
Of course, what killed his career. But like, hey,
beating up a reporter because he's fake.
If no one is studying his promos right now, who's in any wrestling company now,
studying promos, lives are going to be in Waylon Mercy's hands. You know what I'm saying? Know what I mean? Fuck.
Yeah.
Daniel Spivey.
Dan Spivey is fucking so underrated in so many regards, and it's just kind of
okay. Think about this. You know, he was working with Taker when he was Mean Mark Calloway, when he was the Punisher and all that other jazz, right? And Taker did an interview with Steve Austin where he said, you know, I did a run with Dan Spivey, and he goes, I'm done. He goes, what are you talking about, big man? He goes, nope, you go in there, you tell fucking Ole, I'm fucking done, I'm going home. I'm tired. And you know what Taker did at 6'8", 300+ pounds? He went over to Olin. Look, he's done. And you know what fucking Olin said? Fuck. All right. They're not going to tell Dan Spivey shit.
You know, I'm glad you bring up that name because that's going to lead me to another name. Arn Anderson.
That's the one. That's the whole reason we. Thank you, Gerard. Oh, fuck. Double A. The whole reason we had this episode, I completely forgot.
You know what's sad about
Anderson
that?
Have been given his flowers.
These were men. These were men. You know, it's like you don't really have that these days.
Go on,
Should Arn Anderson have given his flowers and taken a championship run?
You know when he should have taken it? And this is my fantasy booking. I've thought about it for years. I'm so glad you brought him up because if we had gone this entire episode and not talked about the Enforcer, I think Flair should have beaten Vader, taking the belt. I think that after the rematch, I think that Vader should have put a whooping on Arn Anderson, and Flair basically used Arn as a fucking shield. And I think Arn would have said, no, sick of this shit. They had their match. Instead of reforming the Horsemen, Arn should at least have a 6-month run with that belt. I'm going to
listen. If anybody else who's ever watched Arn Anderson and Tully Blanchard, Arn Anderson was that team.
Yeah.
Technical wrestling, absolutely. He could get in there and wrestle with you.
But he could brawl.
How nice would it have been to see a Arn Anderson and Harley race match?
Oh, God. No, look, they would have killed 3 people in the audience. Think about it.
His spine buster. Every time you see somebody do a spine buster nowadays, that's all you think about is that guy doing that move.
But nobody had impact like fucking Double A. That's why they call it the Double A spine buster.
That's why, like now I'm glad that
the only person that had a spine buster that even equated close to it was Rude. Bobby Roode had a hell of a spine buster.
Now I'm glad
Bobby
you bring
Roode
up that
had
name.
a fucking great spine buster. I'm glad you brought.
Let's talk about. Hey, you're gonna bring up Bobby Roode. Let's bring up Ravishing Rick Rude.
Fuck. But he got his flowers though. He got to be the WCW champion, and he carried that belt fucking excellent.
And going back to Dustin Rhodes, I think if Dustin Rhodes had stayed the course in WCW, I think he could have been a WCW World Champion.
I don't know. Dustin was fucked because that is a hell of a name to live up to, brother. That is a hell of a name to fucking.
Well, let me ask you this: how much does it kill the other Rhodes career once he loses the title?
Yep.
Is that going to break him? Will he succumb and go back to the competition? Because my thing is, he's on the road right now. He has a young kid. Still has a young wife. How much is he going to want to do? He said he doesn't want to wrestle past 45. What does Cody Rhodes have left to accomplish in the sports entertainment industry known as professional wrestling?
I think he'd want to transition into a backstage role, like as much because I remember he was saying when he became the EVP of AEW, he was like, yeah, this is like he was leading all the production meetings, and then when he does these interviews now, he goes, well, it's the best job to have when you're 45. It's like, so I think he might want to transition to that. Honestly, I can see a future where Cody's running Raw and maybe CM Punk's running SmackDown.
I'm glad you said that, and I just thought about this. I'm
thinking the distant future.
I think Tony Khan offered him something that he wanted more than anything else. He wanted to do like his father and develop that talent like he was like his dad did. Because look. Dusty Rhodes is responsible for some of the greatest fucking characters ever. If you don't have Dusty Rhodes, I'll put it this much: you don't have ECW, you don't have Paul Heyman. Because remember,
you don't have the Shield. You don't.
What did he say? What did he say? What did Paul Heyman say when he met Dusty Rhodes? He goes, "Wait, you're the kid from New York? Yeah, I'm taking pictures. What are you doing? This is the closed door production meeting with the American Dream, Dusty Rhodes, baby. What are you doing here? I'm learning from you." And what did he say? Well, I'm the American Dream, Dusty Rhodes.
They're learning from the best player.
So he's learned from him. So I think Cody took that and wants to learn more. Great. I think what you see is Paul Levesque. He doesn't have any kids that are going to want to be in the business. He hands it down to Cody. Cody becomes the next Paul Levesque.
Well, then we put it like this. From what I've heard, Stephanie and Hunter's oldest daughter has a mindset to be around the business right now. But we don't, you see, the one good thing, and I'm going to say this, and I want people to hear this when I say this, the one good thing we don't hear about right now, Shane McMahon got 3 boys. Hunter.
Yeah, I was about to say, I'm like, doesn't Shane have Shane has a bulky son right now.
Yeah, but
he got 3 boys. Hunter and them got 3 girls, okay? If any one of them decide they want to be part of the business, well, what steps would they have to go through to be part of it? Because I'll tell you this right now, Shane's influence in the business right now is gone. It's gone until he decides to man up and say, you know what? No, I want to still be part of this. He has to have shares to where he has voting rights somehow.
Let me ask you this, Gerard. Like, look, you go back. You know the man. You knew him as a human being. If you, being someone who knew Shane on a personal level, where is his head right now?
Up his ass. He needs to pull it out of it.
Do you think that like because it was kind of rumored like that this whole John Moxley thing was like gonna lead to Shane McMahon's, like that was kind of what like this is gonna be Shane McMahon's, like, do you think that
Tony Khan wanted that to get out there? Tony Khan needed that to get out there. You know what Tony Khan didn't
Let me ask you this. Like, do you think that picture that leaked out with them like actually got leaked and maybe Shane kind of pulled back? Maybe.
Absolutely.
Just like the one at the airport with the Young Bucks.
Yeah. Do
here's
you think maybe Shane was just like, well, this fucking mark is leaking, kind of like that kind of thing?
I'm going to say it like this. Dan better get his tickets for All In, because I'll tell you this right now. That could be your surprise at All In.
Well, let me tell you this. Let me tell you something, brother. So this is what I'm thinking about that. I think if I'm Shane and that is actually what happened and this picture is leaked the fuck out, I'm like, I'm washing my hands of this. I want nothing to do with this fucking mark.
I honestly think that's what happened. I think that's probably what happened.
So Tony Khan showed his professionalism, and he probably said, if I want to deal with somebody right now who's unprofessional, I can stay dealing with my own dad.
Yeah.
And I can do, and that's it. Now, we all know friends and family are the worst 2 things to be in business.
And what you said earlier, talking about Shane's kids and talking about Triple H's kids, they have lost the birthright to go and be. We can go to WWE. They're fucking the grandfather is no.
Oh no, one of them has.
Owns their shit.
3 girls still have the birthright. The 3 girls have that birthright right now.
No, hear me out. This is not the Vince McMahon. This is not the McMahon's company anymore. This is TKO. They have truly gone corporate.
Now, but my thing is, though, how much stock does Triple H and Stephanie still have? Shane might still have it too, to where you can still control a little bit of what the company can do.
Knock yourself out. It's not their company.
Plus, I feel like we're getting into I don't know, because I don't know if the relationship between Shane and Stephanie and Triple H is the way it. I don't know, Gerard, you probably know more than me. You definitely know me more than me and Dan, but I don't think the relationship has ever been that good, because I've heard Shane's son.
Shane and Stephanie.
I've heard Shane's son do interviews, and he's just like, yeah, my aunt's daughters, he very he doesn't say my cousins, or he's like, yeah, my aunt's daughters are doing this.
Well, we speculate. Go ahead, Gerard.
Him and Stephanie have always been very close, and if you ever hear Stephanie talk, Shane is like God to her. I mean, you feel she gets emotional just talking about her brother. But once you get married, there becomes a difference, and I can say this. I got 4 older sisters. There becomes a difference to where
me too.
You can only have so much influence now over your sisters now when you got the husband in the air. How much, and it's something you hate to see happen, because like I said, family's family, but business is business. And you've always heard Vince McMahon say that business is business. He told his own son, stab me in the heart if this is the job you really want.
This is disgusting, by the way.
Okay. I understand it. It's wrong, disgusting, like you say, but I get it. I understand it. to now put yourself in the position to where you have to get into that mindset of, hey, this ain't gonna be mine anymore. Because Shane was groomed.
Yeah, it was prime for
He
the
was
job.
groomed. If anybody in their life was ever groomed, it was Shane McMahon to be the next head of WWE. Okay? But because somebody fell in love with a guy that wasn't supposed to fall in love with, and she got married, that's the whole reason why when they did that thing with Shane. Now, when they did that thing when Shane left because he wanted to go start other companies and he asked his father and blah, blah, blah. Look at the pop he got when he came back.
God, yes.
Oh, of course.
Okay? That just goes to show you.
I mean, like, as someone who was around Shane, like, was he ever, like, did you ever have, like, did you ever see that he had any aspirations? Like, did you ever think, like, oh, yeah, this is the guy who's going to take over?
Before you answer that, Gerard, hold on. Jacob, why do you think that Shane was working in the ring crew?
Well, of course. He won. You know,
Because
it's like,
No, Jacob, you don't understand. Shane McMahon. So Vince basically said, you want to do this? I'm going to start you at the bottom, and you're going to work your way up. You're going to work your way up. And Shane accepted that because why?
He wanted it.
What have I said multiple times? Don't try to be one of the boys. Let the boys make you one of them. Shane didn't want that notoriety of being, oh, he's just the boss's kid. He wanted to be known as, hey, he busted his ass off to become one of us.
And if you
and from what you've told me, like, he's pretty much, like, he kind of was one of the boys, like, at least from what you've told me, like, he was.
No, okay, from what Gerard, we talked to Gerard, you and I have talked about this. Gerard's a hard guy to earn his respect, right? You would agree with that. Like, if you're full of shit, Gerard will pretty much fucking call you out from day one. And I love him for that. Like that, Gerard's one of my, as far as this goes, one of my closest friends as far as anything I've ever done on here. In a short amount of time, I can't believe I've only been fucking with him since August, and I can talk to a guy about anything. But you said it yourself, and we've had that conversation. Shane earned your respect, especially when we talked about behind the scenes stuff, Gerard. He was somebody that you would trust to speak on someone's behalf.
Well, there's a lot of people. There's a lot of things, and I want people to get this, especially in the wrestling community. And if you can do this in real life, it's great. When you have discussion with people and you have people in your life, you shouldn't always be agreeing with everything somebody else says.
This is why I trust Gerard to go fuck himself on a daily basis. It just happens.
It's okay to have disagreements. As long as at the end of the day, with those disagreements, you can come to a happy medium on the right to be wrong. Hey, it's your opinion, and I have my opinion. You're going to have your opinion. And you can get to that 50%. Most of the time, that's called marriage.
You'll see that, Jacob, at some point.
Right. So, but Jacob, just so you know, though, there is no 50% in marriage.
No, she's always right.
Yeah, no, I'm just like, you got to go all in with that shit.
Right. No, what I mean is, you'll never get to the 50%.
You're never going to be right. Once you put that ring on your finger, you're never going to be right again, Jacob.
Right. But when in the wrestling business, there's so much backstabbing to get to that next point, or was. No matter who you are, unless you're that top guy, and I can say it, Tony Khan, because he's that top guy, he doesn't have to worry about his backstabbing. Because at the end of the day, all the money and the decisions still go through him. They still go through them. It goes through him. Right, wrong, or indifferent, it goes through Tony Khan. In WWE, you probably have a board of at least 20 people that all these decisions go through, except for one, that creative control decision. That's held by 2 people. And those 2 people have to justify their decisions to the 20. Not the 20 people have to get those 2 people on those page. No, because those 18 other people probably have no idea about creative when it comes to professional wrestling. And unlike other sports, that's the beauty of that. You got 2 people who have to have a great mind that have to be on the same page. You can't get them on the same page. What you're seeing right now on television. Now, without the crowd ingestion with the signs and stuff like that, WWE might be at the same stage or higher than the Attitude Era, just without the fan interjection.
Well, to be fair, I would argue that right now is the hottest time in wrestling. Maybe they're not hitting fucking million, they're not hitting 5 points on the damn rating scale, but in ring, storyline, merch sales, they're at a higher point than they've ever been.
That's what I'm saying, to where without that fan interjection, to where every night you're seeing the stadium have to go with all the signs and stuff like that. Look at the sellouts they're having. Look what they're doing for ratings. Look what they're doing for, and you're doing this all on the backs of your older wrestlers. The one thing that I would love to see, and I'm not talking about Austin Theory, is some new generation guys, some younger guys, the ruthless aggression guys that just come in, basically look like they came off the street, get in there, and they can project themselves to the top, and they don't come across as handpicked. That's the one thing I would like to be able to see, to where some of these older guys don't have to sell the company. Now, this is in either company or in any company, all these guys, where we got to take those titles and straps off your older guys and give them to some of the younger guys.
Well, they've done that. Look at Gunther. Say what you want about him. He's not fucking a veteran. He's been doing this for years, but ultimately Gunther is still a young cat.
This is a guy this is a guy who literally during the Vince era, he did an interview and he said I think I'll just be in the UK and maybe I'll do NXT. I don't think I'll be on the main roster, because he probably knew he wasn't going to be booked right. And then this guy
wanted to name down a fucking Nazi U-boat captain.
Yeah, they wanted Gunther Stark.
What happened to Gunther is one thing: his wrestling ability.
Absolutely.
And I've said before, you got to have one or the other. You got to be able to grade on the mic and be medium in the ring, or be great in the ring and medium on the mic.
Okay. Again, but there's a guy who did the same thing, and because of, I will consider Vince's fault, never got over because they never gave him the chance. They called him fucking Butch. Fucking Pete Dunne was, oh my God, the guy is just sick.
It sucks because Pete Dunne.
He's what, 200 pounds?
He's a smaller guy who could make it work. He is very like in ring. I would compare him because he was that good in the ring to the Macho Man, who was a smaller guy. But
hey, Dan, let me ask you this:
it's unfortunate because unless you send Pete Dunne to NXT and you give him a good run there, Pete Dunne's finished in WWE.
I would absolutely.
I would put Pete Dunne in AEW and Ring of Honor. I think he would fare well there, honestly. This is one of the situations where I would actually prefer someone in AEW, and then I would trade Pete Dunne for maybe, I don't know, fucking Powerhouse Hobbs.
Hey, here's a question for both of you.
Go ahead.
And I want you both to answer this in the best way you can. If he started in any other company, if he just started in WWE, would Rey Mysterio have been what Rey Mysterio is?
Yes, because when he was AAA and when he went to WCW.
No. Mind you, no other company. If he just started in WWE, Rey Mysterio.
There is no way that they would have known what to do with someone like Rey Mysterio.
If you're talking nowadays,
Eddie Guerrero.
No, because back then, and I can point to characters like Taka Michinoku, like two sexy Brian Christopher, all those guys. They didn't know what to do with it.
And then I'm going to give you another one that I think some way or another should have maybe been world champion for at least a minute. The man of 1,000 holds.
Oh God, yes. But they didn't know. They tried to make him into the Playboy Dean Malenko.
Dean Malenko.
Oh, hey, here's another one. Mike Awesome. You got Mike Awesome.
What I'm saying is about Dean Malenko was I would have loved to have seen a Dean Malenko Kurt Angle run.
Speaking of that, you know what I would have loved to see? You talked about him last week. One of your favorite tag team finishers ever, the Elimination. Perry Saturn. Perry fucking Saturn.
God damn it!
Remember the Radicals all came in together.
Yep.
And hey, John Cronus, man, fucking R.I.P. He was too good.
You know, I saw somebody.
You want to look at someone, and you want to talk about underrated people. No one ever talks about this guy. He was an underrated cruiserweight in the WCW days. Blitzkrieg. You guys know who Blitzkrieg
Yes,
is?
the mask. He was actually really good. He was gone.
Here's one for you.
He was literally like, if you watch his matches, they're fucking amazing. And he was only there for like literally a cup of coffee. You could drink a cup of coffee, and that's how much.
Let's
Let's talk about a guy who actually got a little bit of a push in WCW, but Disco Inferno.
Oh God, no, not him, not Greg Gilberti, no.
Disco.
Hey, you know, a has been and never was. Hey, you know what?
Hold on.
No, when Cody Rhodes fucking buried him and was like, no one has ever left an arena thinking about you. You weren't a draw your whole life.
Okay, hold on. I will say this. I've learned to appreciate Disco Inferno later in life. He is an ultimate troll. I love fucking Disco Inferno. He cracks me up.
He's funny as fuck.
Now, I love him with Conan. Shout out to the fucking, keeping it 100.
Oh my God, that's like Pinky in the Brain right there. When I was
fucking hilarious. Dude, Greg Gilberti is a fucking G. I don't give a fuck.
Yeah, it's literally Pinky in the Brain, the wrestling podcast. I love it.
Shout out from Conan, brother. Jesus.
Yeah, Conan's great. I love Conan.
But people don't give. Okay, that's another one. Should Conan have won the world title in WCW because he was talented? And they were giving him bigger pops than fucking Hogan whenever he was in the NWO. Viva la raza.
Here's another one. Vampiro. I think Vampiro could have gotten big.
You know what? That is one that I will take to my grave. I'm pissed off. Of all the things Sting has done, and I respect Steve Borden. I respect the man behind the paint. But what he, and Vampiro's done interviews about it. When he refused to put Vampiro over, that bothered me.
Let me ask you this,
dude. I would love. Can you imagine if we got Vampiro on the podcast?
I don't know if he would because again, he's got that mild dementia.
Hey, let me ask you this.
I don't think
he would. We're going back to guys. The belt made him. The belt destroyed him. I'm going to talk about a fellow Texan to you, Dan. Miyazaki Henry.
You will not talk ill of Miyazaki Henry because during his time with the Hall of Pain, when he did have his title run, I thought it was excellent.
Okay.
I thought it was
it was great. Whoa, it was great. He was breaking people's legs and stuff. It was awesome.
Fuck.
Well, to me, he always looked like the Predator.
With his braids?
Oh my God, he looked like the Predator.
My favorite thing is, I still got cash in the tank. That's what I do.
Listen,
the fact that they didn't put the fucking title on Mark Henry after that is a fucking travesty.
He should have beaten Cena.
He should have. That was fucking beautiful.
When he did that retirement thing and he did that thing to Cena, oh yeah.
Oh, it was he should have been the champion. For 5 months.
We got speaking of that, we got 10 minutes about left, and I just thought of this idea. And I'd love to fucking hear Gerard and your. I'll go Jacob first because I'm sure it's going to be off the wall. Give me one guy who deserved that run. One guy that you don't you dare say Jinder Mahal, but give me one guy that deserved that fucking run that didn't get it, and what he could have done with that.
Ooh, you want me to give you something out of left field?
You shoot. Male or female, doesn't matter.
Okay, I'm gonna give you something out of left field, and this is something that this guy, it was no fault of his own. I think we really missed out on a Tyson Kidd NXT championship run because when Tyson Kidd got injured, he's the only person to ever get injured on a muscle buster. And this is a deep cut, ladies and gentlemen, I know. But I think if it had Tyson Kidd not gotten injured, we would have I think Tyson Kidd would have been up in the right now he'd be in the main event setting. I really believe that because he was really look back at don't believe me, go back and watch matches. I don't know, but Tyson Kidd, I think he could have had a great NXT championship run. There you go. Like that's underrated as fuck, but I think that's up there. I think we missed out on Finn Balor's first Universal title run, but I think he would have just
I do agree. That Tyson Kidd was one I didn't see come. I think he could, and I didn't think you were going to go NXT, but
yeah, no, that was that. Yeah, I'm going underground, but I think as far as like recently, I think that's the one that's like on top of my head.
Gerard, same question.
Yep. Okay. I am going to go a little old school.
Of course you are.
And, you know, I mentioned it earlier in the night. And I am going to go the person who wasn't given a proper title run. Paul
If
Orndorff.
you take mine, I'm gonna throw a shoe at you if you take mine.
Mr. Wonderful Paul Orndorff.
Oh, I didn't see that coming, but yeah.
And the reason why, because you had the mouthpiece of Bobby the Brain Heenan. With him, that would have been, I think it would have been money. But unfortunately, a lot of guys came in the Hulk Hogan era, and Hogan didn't want to drop the title to anybody.
No.
Now, don't get me wrong. I understand it. But I think Paul Orndorff taking that title from Hogan could have set up a scenario for WrestleMania 3. But I think Paul Orndorff, I believe, is the guy who should have been given some kind of a title run. But unfortunately, he was the right guy at the wrong time.
I'm with you there. And I'm going to throw one out there that none of you are going to see coming. You're going to think I'm crazy. The Shockmaster. I'm just kidding. To be honest, the guy that they've always thought about, and
good old Fred,
the guy that really I think could have done something amazing, the guy that I think before the fucking curtain call was doing something amazing. He was drawing lines in the business before there was even a thing. And maybe it would have been later in his career when he came to WWE. But I think Brian Pillman, I in my head, I can see the scenario. You know, while he's with the Hart Foundation, he wins the Royal Rumble. He challenges Brett. He beats Brett. And he makes those, you know, like that weird fucking, oh, I'm your buddy, Brett. I'm also the champion. But, you know, there's so much that Brian Pillman could have done. And going back to someone like Kerry Von Erich, who made a mistake and got back on it. Like, Kerry Von Erich was on meds, and he ruined his leg. And that's why they had to amputate it. If it was a similar situation for Brian Pillman, he kept trying to work when he should have rested. He had a work ethic that so many people would say is second to none. And I'm very upset with WWE how they handle that, because they were so worried about getting in front of the story about how, you know, did he have an addiction to pills? You did that to his wife on live fucking television. The least you could do is give his son, who you fucking owe, a decent fucking run.
Well, let me ask you this, Dan. And because of how things ended in WCW, do you think they held that over his head? Just because you walked out, you basically quit. You walked out of that company.
Well, no, he got his release because he tricked Bischoff into believing he was going to go to ECW and get over and then come back. But in all honesty, he planned on going to WWE.
Listen, him and Steve Austin as the Hollywood Blondes.
Oh God,
my God.
Yes.
But I never saw Pillman as a singles guy. I always saw him as a tag team guy.
And I get where you're coming from, but I think that he had the mic work in ring. He was excellent. We can't deny that.
Oh no, I'm saying, I always thought he was like. There are some guys like you say, as a tag team guy, he's phenomenal.
Okay, well,
goes to be a singles guy.
Well, we talked about it before. Hawk.
Yeah,
that was a guy who definitely could have had a singles run. He was charismatic. He was the heart and soul of that team. You know, I'm ashamed that they put him through what they did with his issues. I thought that there's no place for that on television. That's sick. Kind of like how they did Scott Hall. You know
what they did to Goldust had the Tourette's. The Tourette's thing was.
But again, you're talking about a guy in Dustin Rhodes who, like his father, They put him in polka dots. And he got
I'm glad you bring that up because one thing I want to ask people, and why is it when guys do silly, stupid stuff like that, there's never outcry? But make a woman out to be a tramp? Oh, why are you doing this to her? Blah, 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 blah. We do know it's character roles, correct? It's not real life.
I get that.
Well, I mean,
there's some levels to it, though, Gerard. Like, okay, perfect example. When Lita was pregnant with Kane's baby, and they had the miscarriage. I've never been someone who supported these miscarriage angles. That is stupid.
Well,
he laughs. Hey, hold on. He laughs.
Do we got to go to the Katie Vick angle?
Again, that's so dumb.
Listen, we forgot. There's one guy.
Gerard, worst line.
I'm not laughing. By the way, I want to point this out. I'm not laughing at the concept of miscarriages. I'm laughing at the concept that there was a miscarriage angle. That like this.
Hey, Terry Rose.
Like casual.
Here's one we forgot, and I want you guys to real quickly. We forgot Muhammad Hussein.
Oh yeah.
If you talk about a guy who had the heat to get that belt. There was a guy who had the heat to get that belt.
Right place, wrong time.
Wrong time. And it was.
And this guy
when he summoned Master wearing camo, that was the end of his career. He was fucked.
Hey, listen.
Poor guy. This guy was an Italian teacher from Brooklyn.
Aaron Stevens. What was his name?
Damien Sandow.
Damien Sandow.
Damien Mizdow.
By the way, by the way, I'm going to plug my own shit. I have a very intricate video coming out soon on the Cubic channel, the downfall of BFT, Blunt Force Trauma. You'll see it's a tag team Damien Sandow manages right now. You'll see.
Well, we're on the air. I got to say this, because you guys, the New England Patriots have fired their head coach. Because he won the last game of the year when the Patriots could have locked in the first round pick.
Oh, that's beautiful.
That sounds like something the Patriots would do. Deflategate. Belichick.
Well, listen, okay? This would have been the first time they got the first round pick since 1993, but because they win the last game, they're probably not going to get the first round pick. Idiots. But with that being said, that was a good. I like that because, we were able to go back and say some names today that probably been lost in the shuffle.
Well, who's mentioned Muhammad Hassan in like the longest time?
Right. And Muhammad Hussein, Hassad. The funny part about that is his little troll still works for WWE.
Yeah, he got over more than he ever did. Daivari was over everybody.
He constantly one of the agents that run out.
I'll never forget it. I used to love his name in TNA. He was the Sheik Abdul Bakir.
Dude, and his theme song. You want to talk about his theme song?
Fuck.
Look it up.
Oh my! Dan,
do you guys know about his theme song? Like for real? Do you guys know about his theme song?
Dan, you didn't get to bring out Bruiser Brody. Oh,
Bruiser Brody, yeah. Okay, no, but Dan, do you know about Sheik Abdul Bashir's theme song?
I'd have to listen to it again, but I'm sure it was fucking excellent. Like fucking Sanjay Dutt's.
Oh
Don't play it now.
No.
No, we're not playing it now.
Oh, no, yes, we are.
Mute his ass. Mute him.
I'm not getting copyright struck over the show.
You're not going to get copyright.
No, think about that. I mean, we forgot to mention Bruiser Brody.
I muted him. I have the power to.
You're not going to get copyright. Okay, I guarantee you won't.
We're literally out of time.
Okay, well, here you go. All right, here we go.
Jesus.
The clip.
Yep, sounds great. Sounds really good.
Yeah, you only got a 7-second rule. It's like the show Name That Tune.
Okay.
7 seconds to name that tune.
All right, well, okay. Well, there we go. Some other time we'll hear the non-racist Sheik Abdul Bashir theme song.
That being said, I am the Flying Jalapeno Dan. That is the inside man, Gerard Millette, and the newly christened the Jakester. We are the Marks. This is the Marks Podcast. Thank you guys for joining us. We will see you next week. Hopefully, if Detroit Deep Dish doesn't have a fucking problem with it at our normal time.
We might have to talk about that, but we'll see.
Later, guys.
All of you Marks have been listening to the Marks Podcast on YouTube.